Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time again. It's me. It's NT to the effing G. Nate the effing Great. I am indeed tired. I am sore, and I'm a little bit crabby. But when we're talking about what happened this past weekend, I'm happy. I'm very pleased with what happened. So, with that being said, of course, I'm being joined here by my very charismatic, intellectual co-host who will definitely burn you down if you do not have a better retort argument than just because. The one and only VicTori Belle. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, you have to have facts with your opinions.
If you don't believe us, folks, just check out the Green Lantern debate that we had, because, gosh, she roasted me worse than a pig at a luau. It was brutal, to say the least. But why am I so happy and peppy? Because we're talking about what happened this past weekend, which was San Diego Comic-Con. Wow, holy Christ. This was absolutely one of the most talked about Comic-Cons probably of the year. And mostly it happened because of the trailers, but I've been given permission by my co-host to talk about a couple of little minor things that happened at the convention before we get into the major stuff that we're talking about, so bear with us. It's only just going to take about maybe a minute, maybe two. I just want to get a lot of the stuff that happened throughout convention out of my system. All right, so one thing that stood out here was, of course, the 8-foot-tall Lego Thanos that was at the convention, which had weighed in about 450 pounds and had 91,350 bricks to it. God, so many people are dedicated to this. It is absolutely amazing. I look at so many of these pictures and I think to myself, wow, I could not have that much time and that much patience to get that done. So whoever created that did an absolutely amazing job, deserves all the props for that. It was absolutely amazing. And plus it worked out in a sense because the fact was this is the year of Infinity War. Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. Next thing here is that they definitely were trying to talk more about It Part 2 that's coming out next year. People are saying that's going to be scarier than ever. It's definitely going to be one of those things you definitely don't want to miss. They've already released who's going to be casted for a lot of the roles. It's going to be a can't-miss movie going into 2019. I know almost every year I could say, this is the year of the movies. This is the year of the movies. In 2019, it's not going to change. It's another year where it's like, this is going to be good. This is going to be amazing. And I will mention this little side note. I did not realize this until I looked at the cast list. James McAvoy is actually going to be a part of Stephen King's It Part 2. And honestly, he's going to fit the role so very well. If you've seen Split, you'll definitely know that he's going to be playing the role of... I think he's going to be playing the role of Bill, I believe it was. So, honestly, go see Split, and you'll definitely see why I say that he's perfect for that role. And finally, before we get into the crazy stuff, talking about the Walking Dead Season 9 trailer. Looks absolutely great. Honestly, though, I have fallen out of its good graces because of what happened. When they introduced Negan, they killed off Glenn. My life and everything I love is just dying again. Oh, man. And honestly, it got even worse when a couple days later somebody decided to take that death scene and they added the Celine Dion, I think it was the Celine Dion's Titanic theme, which was like, no, this scene's already sad as is. Why you gotta make my soul just cry? Why must you do this to me? Just why? People are cruel. Okay. And scene. We're good. Got it out of my system. So, thank you to my lovely co-host for bearing with me for this probably excruciating 2-3 minutes of me just geeking out. But
I told you, I'm like, dude, get all your fun stuff out before we get to the like new releases. So yeah, all good, always fun to hear your opinions on things. I like it.
And how can we start it off with anything bigger than this? They released the trailer for the new Godzilla movie, which is actually entitled Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is going to be released next year. If you haven't seen the trailer, definitely go watch it. It is absolutely amazing. And I will say also this, it does feature Eleven from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown. So right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's going to have emotion to it. It's going to have something special about it. And I know it seems kind of mean for me to say that, you know, because this actress is in it, it's going to have more emotion. Well, to be honest, Eleven is kind of one of those characters that brings more emotion in than what you're expecting. And I think that Millie Bobby Brown does an absolutely amazing job with it. I am wondering how much more emotion she's going to bring into this movie. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, okay, Eleven's in this. I'm already invested into it. But we also got, oh my gosh, we got a preview of what exactly is to come, because Godzilla is not the only monster that's going to be a part of this movie. Victory Bell, who else are they going to be seeing when they see this movie?
Oh man, I was so pumped. At least we know for a fact, I'm saying it's a fact, but this is what I saw in the trailer being a Godzilla fan. I saw the great King Ghidorah, which is the triple-headed dragon, which that's always been one of Godzilla's most fearsome rivals. I saw Mothra for sure. Mothra was definitely in it. Mothra's the giant moth, if that wasn't a giveaway. And then I'm almost, this one is, we didn't really get to see more of the form or what it looks like, but it looked as though a giant pterodactyl creature, which is Rodan, which is a giant pterodactyl creature. So another flying creature, which Godzilla doesn't always do the best against the flyers, since it cannot. And all three of those creatures can fly, will fly, and also look ginormous. I was pretty stoked when I saw these three.
Yeah, I've already heard the names of, Mothra and Ghidorah. I was kind of a little bit familiar with. Rodan I'm not exactly too familiar with, but at the same time, I just looked at like a classic picture of what Rodan looks like, and I think to myself, oh, okay, this definitely looks like one of those things that would happen in a Godzilla movie. And honestly, it's going to look really amazing to see how these creatures are all just going to be in battle. God help us, this is going to be really good. And it's all building up to 2020, because they did announce that that's when they're going to be releasing Godzilla vs. King Kong. Wow. I don't know how much breath my body can exhale right now, because it's like almost every single year you're just going to leave me breathless by the time the year's over. And now you're giving us King Kong vs. Godzilla in 2020. But let's just get through 2019. You got three monsters, three of Godzilla's probably well-known, recognized characters taking off against the Beast himself. God help us, that is going to be such a good movie.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I don't know if anyone else partook in the last Godzilla movie. I did. I personally did not like it. I was bored. People were saying that Godzilla was too big, stuff like that. They were just saying that it was not the movie that people wanted.
Oh.
And now we fast forward, I believe it was released at least 4 years ago. But now they're coming out with another one, and I had to look up to see if they were connected, because I feel like they were waking Godzilla up again or something, and it does appear that it is Chapter 2, so it is going to have the same overall look as the first one. The first one was not a good movie, though, in general. It did not make enough funds. I'm surprised they are making another Godzilla movie in such a short time, but it seems like they're going to do it right this time. You can't have Godzilla movie without having some of Godzilla's greatest enemies or greatest foes, or as they're calling in this movie, the other Titans. So they're calling these the bringer of doom, the Titans, like in a mythological type of way, like how there's angels and demons, and then the god brought in the Titans to destroy. I don't know, maybe it's more of a Zeus Titan thing, if you know, like the Hercules type of, like how release the Titans. And so they were saying in the trailer, kind of like, these Titans will be the bringer of like destruction and see if we are worthy of living here, and we need to find someone, a Titan to. I think they were kind of saying they want to have somebody fight for them. And that is a huge theme in Godzilla movies, besides the fact that it's going to be monster mash mayhem, which, if you're a monster masher, like, you love when you just get to see monsters fighting it out brutally in semi-live action, because it's all, animated. Nowadays, they're not giant people in costumes, like in Power Rangers and stuff. I mean, this is the season. I mean, we got the Jurassic Parks coming in that have dinos fighting. We've got Rampage coming in with giant monsters fighting each other. And that, if you're excited about Kong versus Godzilla, watch Rampage. It'll get you all jacked up for it. It's a monkey versus a giant lizard. But yeah, it's really interesting what they're trying to do with this, and it made me feel like, okay, I like the story. Maybe Godzilla's going to be on our side. I don't know.
It's kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because I do remember watching the Godzilla movie that occurred, and I can understand, where you're coming from. There were some parts where it did kind of just drag a little bit, and it did kind of really make it seem like, oh, just get to the good stuff already. We don't need to know this. Right. But let's be fair. Anything was just a step above Godzilla 2000 or whatever that one was with Matthew Broderick. Yes, I bring my mortal enemy into this, and I'm proving a really valid point here. But
I didn't hate Godzilla 2000. It was totally different to me.
It was too weird for me, and it just...
You're right, it wasn't, it's not a typical, it's definitely not, it doesn't go along the lines of what Godzilla's all about. It was a weird, skinny Godzilla, small, skinny Godzilla, having more little baby Godzillas running around.
Yeah, and then they made a cartoon series after that. Yay, Hollywood! But anyway, so... Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing how this movie goes. And I did get a chance to watch Rampage earlier this year. I actually liked it. For a lot of people that were definitely giving it flack, for the most part, I thought it was still pretty good. I thought, Rampage the gorilla was pretty good character. I mean, he's definitely one of those characters that you could understand where, it was just basically overpowered. And Dwayne Johnson had to kind of be the guy who's, trying to remind him, hey, this is who you are, this is who you are. This is almost basically like Curious George against monsters. This was basically what this movie was all about. I'm sorry, but when you name your monkey George, that's what you're going to be thinking about. It's just Curious George takes on giant flying wolf and major killer croc. Basically, apparently Lake Placid decided to make a nice little cameo in this movie. Great.
You know what's weird about it, because I would love to talk, Rampage, because I didn't hate it, and I went in with the idea of what it was. Like, I knew it was going to be monster mayhem and just monster fights, and let's see how good this monster fight is. It's not going to look real. I'm like, okay, it's not going to look real, and it's going to be, if you're the Rock Johnson fan, you would really enjoy this movie, because it's really kind of, him being himself.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, this is what I'm going to do. And stuff like that. And then doing cheesy, like, weird one-liners that aren't really funny, but since he said it, it's kind of funny. And, like, the flicking off parts and stuff. And monkey doing the sign language sex. I was like, what is going on? But Rampage, did you play the video game?
I did not get a chance to play the video game.
See, the video game came out, like, early 90s, so I used to play it on my Nintendo 64, and I could tell my dad, who I was watching it with, I'm like, alright, that's George, that's Ralph, that's Izzy, or Lizzie, I'm not for sure, they might not name that one, actually, and then, like, and I knew when they were like, some sick people on the internet are calling this wolf Ralph. And I was like, yeah, Ralph! Like, they didn't follow the, story arc of the video game.
Well, they never follow the story arc of the video game because that would just be way too easy. I'm sorry, but that's just how Hollywood is.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I was just saying, they didn't follow the video game, but it was a movie of fan service. Like, if you enjoyed the video game and you wanted to see it because you were like, the video game was just literally giant monsters, like, the whole goal was to destroy the whole city. Like, okay, go destroy all the buildings. Alright, I will. Like, it's a dumb video game, but it was really fun, and that's why I appreciated the movie. It wasn't good. It was fan service, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the fan service, thanks.
Yeah, I think that for me, I think it was the comedy that kind of made it a little bit better, but also the action definitely delivered like I thought it would. I think there were even some points where it even exceeded my expectations. But when you got basically, The Rock, and then you also have Negan involved in this, literally I'm just like, oh my God. I'm literally like, okay, this is going to be an interesting movie. Okay, this is basically Negan, but his name is this. I don't care. I know him by this name. This is who I'm calling him because he's exactly like the character from Walking Dead. I don't care what his name is in the movie. It's Negan. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And like you said, Dwayne Johnson he's kind of I don't think he really was one of those actors that was trying to, hog the spotlight. He definitely had those, crazy one-liners, and he had those moments where he did have the action scenes, but he was not one of those things where it's like, oh, the spotlight's on me. No, they definitely kept the spotlight on George, they should, because the title is Rampage. It's not, Dwayne Rampage or the Rocky Rampage or something like that.
Rocky Rampage. I don't know if I'd see this. Just giant Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, jeez. Kevin Hart would be making a cameo in that, and everybody knows it. But getting back to Godzilla, so you can definitely tell, guys, we're definitely excited for it. The trailer definitely has got us hooked. Look for it in next year. I think it might actually be early next year, if I'm not mistaken. But it's
May 31st is what it's on mine.
Oh, jeez. So literally, it's right after part 2 of Avengers, basically.
Yeah, it's gonna hopefully try to fight with that, but.
Well, I mean, at least they're not going in the same week. So at least there's a little bit of a cool down time for them to be like, okay, we've seen Avengers, got a little bit of cool down. Oh, hey, now we can go see. Oh, damn it! I just realized something. There's not going to be a cool off point because if I know Disney like I do, there's going to be the Avengers movie, and then maybe a week or so later they're going to do the other Star Wars movie, and then after that. People are probably going to be so burnt out that they're probably going to be thinking like, oh man, we've seen so much of this. Can we handle Godzilla, King of the Monsters? Me, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I can handle it. I've seen all these movies. I'm good.
Yeah, I can handle it.
But definitely another movie trailer that was released here. And as soon as I saw this trailer, I'm thinking to myself, okay, my co-host is definitely going to love this. I linked it to you, and that was the trailer for Shazam. And if you've not heard our recent podcast, you definitely know that my co-host has definitely been, I don't know if I would say gushing, but she's definitely had high praises for Shazam. So honestly, I can't give this trailer any justice. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host. Please, by all means, tell us in great detail what this trailer is all about and what probably we can expect.
Let me pull up just the release date and everything for Shazam, but it's everything so far. For me, it's everything that I wanted and kind of what we've talked about this before a little bit about who I want, like what we want out of Billy Batson and the Legend of Shazam, and it looks like. And not to get anyone else excited, but somebody that was familiar in the last movie is going to be making an appearance as the evil bad guy Black Adam, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. But yeah, Shazam is about the magical superhero called Shazam. I forget what exactly the name of the like magical cults and wizardry that comes up with this champion, but basically there's two sides of the coin. There's the good, evil Egyptian type of magic, and there's the bad, evil Egyptian type of magic in the DC universe, and each get a champion. Shazam is on the good side, and Black Adam is going to be on the bad side. And basically we have a foster kid, a 12-year-old, I believe they have him as 12 in this, Billy Batson, who gets passed around foster house to foster house, not really, having the best life. And he has a great personality. He always stands up for people. He tries to do what's right, even though, fate gave him a crappy hand. And it seems like this magical wizard notices him and chooses him as the champion. And when he says the magic words Shazam, he turns into a basic, like, carbon copy almost of Superman, who just has more of a lightning powers as well. So he is comparable to Superman, but Superman is stronger and faster and more durable. But so this 12-year-old turns into a 30-something-year-old looking person. And it's hilarious because he is a 12-year-old at heart. And we have Zachary Levi. I forget, I think he was in What's Up, Chuck or something. Like, a funny, like, he's usually a comedian in everything that he does. He's a funny guy. And the fact that he's going to play Shazam, who's always a very, very hilarious superhero, because he is a 12-year-old boy in a giant superhero tough body, and no one's supposed to know that he's a 12-year-old boy. And so, like, the trailer just is him doing one-liners that are just freaking hilarious. Like, he's like, I don't know if I could do this, so I don't know if I could do that. And he's like, yeah, what's up? I'm a superhero, bro. And stuff like that. It was just, it's everything I wanted and more. I'm like, this is not supposed to be DC's darkest movie. It's supposed to be a very lighthearted movie. Obviously, Black Adam is an intense bad guy. Like, he's going to, I don't think we're going to end him in this movie. They're not going to do that. So, most likely we'll see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in more DC movies to come, because he gets to be introduced in this movie, thwarted in some little way, but he's definitely going to be coming back.
Okay, so I'm kind of looking at what was his name again? Zachary Levi's I guess his resume as far as acting goes. Well, unfortunately, he was a part of that. Zachary Levi, I feel sorry for you, man. He was in Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel. Yeah, that was a thing. Forget that. He was actually also Flynn Rider in Tangled, actually. So,
yeah.
So that was actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. So literally, it's like, okay, so we're literally getting Flynn Rider from Tangled into a live action movie. Yeah, basically. He also was Fendral in Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Ragnarok. So, man, he's going from Marvel to DC. Jeez Louise, that's gonna be interesting.
Who was he?
Fendral.
Oh yeah, the blonde guy. Yes, that's so weird. I don't know. I never remember he turned blonde for that role. He's the friend, one of Thor's friends, the blonde mustache. He took over after one of the other actors quit. But yeah, he died. He died in Thor Ragnarok. So he can come back. He can come to DC now.
Oh, well, that's kind of sad.
He died in the Marvel Universe. He's not coming back.
Right.
Well, not to disappoint anyone.
Well, I mean, they could try. No, they're not going to do that. I feel like we're going to be dealing with a time deal, and that's just not fair. But yeah, honestly, when I saw this trailer, I was very much intrigued because I definitely was comparing a lot of what you said to this movie, and I'm literally like, oh, okay, so this is kind of like, oh, wow, I could definitely see why she is very high on this guy, and literally it's going to be one of those movies that I'm like, wow, okay, this is going to be very interesting. This could be one of those movies that definitely DC needs to really get back in the game with Marvel. It's definitely one of those movies where it definitely has a little bit more comedicness to it, but maybe there's going to be some other themes involved in it too. But it definitely still looks like a really good movie. So that's going to be coming out April 5th of next year. So definitely check that out, you guys. And
yeah, I think it's supposed to, like, if you're thinking of, if you're trying to compare it to the Marvel Universe, like, I would judge Shazam at, like, the Ant-Man level type of thing. How Ant-Man is more of a jokey, fun character who has some undertones of, like, oh, he needs his kid, he's a family man, he's a criminal, like that. Like, they have some serious undertones, but they're overall playing the comedic role. And that's what Shazam should really be, too. Obviously, he's a foster kid and having a really hard life, but it's supposed to be that comic relief movie that you enjoy because it's funny and entertaining. That's what I want out of it. I don't want any epicness of, like, that was the best DC movie ever. Like, it better not be. Like, and I don't think it will be. But it'll be one that you're like, I went to see this. I really enjoyed it. I would go see it again.
Yeah, you would definitely find enough reason to enjoy it. Kind of like how some people, you know, they're probably definitely not going to say that Ant-Man is the greatest superhero of all time. They're going to feel the same way probably about Shazam. But they're still going to find a reason to say, like, hey, it's a good movie. And it definitely makes you forget about a lot of the horrible things that other than these, you know, comic book movies have tried to do. Well, we'll see. Like she said, we'll see. Okay, this movie I'm excited to talk about because as soon as I saw the second movie of this trilogy, I literally was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And then when I heard, oh, they're gonna make a third trilogy of this, they're combining the two. Was this planned? Not really. Okay, this is going to be interesting. January 18th of next year, it starts out big because we have the movie Glass. It is basically a crossover between Unbreakable and one of my favorite movies, probably top 5 in, I think it was last year, which was 2017, that being Split. Just watched that movie. And one of the reasons why, anytime somebody says James McAvoy, I think to myself, yes, this dude's awesome. And this is one of his best movies. And this is also why I'm looking forward to seeing him in It. But I already went through that. So, the trailer here definitely has one of those nostalgia feels to it. Because one of the first things you see is, of course, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Bruce Willis. They're just across from a therapist. And they're just sitting, like, really close by each other. I'm thinking to myself, well, they just left nothing to the imagination now, did they? Okay, this is literally going to happen. And I love how, you know, Samuel L. Jackson character has been played in this movie, and it makes me want to see Unbreakable that much more. And, of course, James... What's that?
Have you not seen it?
I have not seen Unbreakable. Some people have definitely have kind of pushed me away from it, saying it's not that good, but... The more I watch this trailer, the more I think, okay, I need to watch Unbreakable so I get more of a... Well, now obviously I have to, so that way I can get an idea of, you know, who Mr. Glass is and how he kind of plays into this. I mean, I already know how, you know, James McAvoy's character plays into this, but also it gives me an idea of, you know, Bruce Willis's character. Why is he involved in this? But... So,
did M. Night Shyamalan write Split then?
I believe he did. Let me do a little bit of research.
That was M. Night Shyamalan wrote Unbreakable. He wrote Glass, and I would guess he wrote Split. Then I'm like, I had no idea he wrote, or he directed at least.
Yep, he written, directed, and co-produced Split, and he did the same thing for Glass.
Crazy! That was not promoted at all. That's so weird to me.
Oh, Split?
No, Split was not the fact that it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, though.
Oh.
Like, you didn't know that. Like, if you go see an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you know you're going to see an M. Night Shyamalan. You're like, oh, I'm going to go see The Sixth Sense. And then it's like, M. Night Shyamalan. He's going to be in it somewhere because that's what he likes to do. And, like, you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's going to be a weird twist ending. The Village, you know, Unbreakable. All these things, you're like, oh, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. But they didn't do that at all in Split. I haven't watched the movie, but, like, usually people are, like, ranting and raving because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Very interesting they didn't promote it like that. I'm intrigued.
I don't know if they really did, like, a major twist in the ending. I liked the ending because the way that they made one of the personas from James McAvoy's character portrayed, known as the Beast, the way that he basically operates, it's one of those things where it's interesting to see what he does at the end. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, that shockingly not only was a really good ending, but it almost kind of messes with your mind. Like, is that true? Is that one of those things where...
Then it's definitely M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it's
That's what it's supposed to do at the end. You're like, what? Wait, were we watching this whole movie and this is what's up?
There was not probably like... I think there was maybe at least a 10-minute break where I went and I saw this with my co-host Max, and there were so many moments where he and we just looked at each other with like jaws on the ground, like, what are we watching? And so many times I said, I don't know whether to hate this movie or whether to love this movie. And then 2 seconds later, I love this movie. I love this movie. There's nothing here. Just, oh my gosh. And for those of you that think that, you know, comedians are the only ones that can play multiple personalities, I mean, people like, you know, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, a lot of these characters, you know, who just play all these different characters. You think that, you know, they're all comedians. When you look at James McAvoy doing it, it's definitely an eye-opener to show you that, hey, this is a guy who really is dedicated to the work. And he definitely shows, you know, how serious he takes this role and how much time and effort he did to actually make those characters completely different. It's absolutely amazing. There comes a point where one of the victims, she locates a file where basically it shows video footage of all the different personas that James McAvoy has, and you all see like the very subtle differences from all of them. It's absolutely amazing, and to see that again, probably in Glass, that's going to make me think, oh boy, we're in for a wild ride. And then combining them with Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, this could be one of the best movies I've seen in quite some time. I mean, is it going to be as good as Infinity War? Well, I'm not going to go that far, but I think it's definitely going to blow my mind.
Well, for the category that it's going to be in, it should be a really good movie. It is a thriller. Most of M. Night Shyamalan's movies are in some way going to give you like a little bit of anxiety and be like, is someone going to make it? We don't know. But yeah, Unbreakable was released, like 30 years ago or something. I don't know. I'm probably dating it. It's
I'm
more
going
like,
to get the official time.
yeah, but it was back when, you know, Bruce Willis was a young chap. Not young, but you know what I mean. He still didn't have hair. Or no, he did have hair. He did have hair. That's dating him. But yeah, Unbreakable is about a guy who is the lone survivor of this accident, and Samuel L. Jackson's character is obsessed with him. Samuel L. Jackson's character is a comic book artist and comic book connoisseur who wants to believe that superheroes exist, and when he gets wind of Bruce Willis's character surviving these things, he truly believes he is a superhero and that he is indestructible. And they really play off of each other, and this whole time you're kind of like, wow, Samuel L. Jackson's character is really trying to help him. That's really nice of Samuel L. Jackson's character to help him. And then, boom, at the end, no, Glass is the bad guy. Samuel L. Jackson's character has been trying to kill. He's been doing all these bombs. He set up the train accident. He set up all these accidents to test people to see if they're superheroes because he's in a wheelchair and he's very breakable. And so it's like the yin and yang of Bruce Willis's character and Samuel L. Jackson's character. It's very intense in the fact that you're like, whoa, and you get to see Bruce Willis's character like fight this guy who's trying to kill a whole family, and it's one of those that you're like, oh my gosh, win, oh my gosh, do it, so it's going to be really cool. Like, I was so surprised. I'm like, nah, they are not bringing back Unbreakable. And then when I saw Split in there, I was like, what? That was an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Like, I would have totally saw it if I knew it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I don't like horror movies. I do enjoy a good thriller, and he used to be the king of, twists, the king of what's going to happen next. Oh, by the way, you watched this whole movie, and it's all fake. You're like, I wasted my time. But still, it makes you have an emotion afterwards, and he's good at that. So I'm stoked about it. I definitely would tell you right away to watch Unbreakable and just get a feel. I don't know about you, but all of M. Night Shyamalan movies are usually kind of slow-paced. So it is slow-paced, and you have to get the details because you'll see. And I might have kind of already given you the big twist at the end, but most people who've seen Unbreakable know this and know that Samuel L. Jackson's character is quite insane in this. And that'll just be more fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I will tell you this right now, that you were way off in the years. It was actually released in 2000.
I said about 20 years old.
Oh, I thought you said 30. I was like, geez, you were way off there. Secondly, I would definitely recommend anybody who hasn't seen this movie, go check out Split. It is definitely one of those things. I'm definitely recommending that you watch Split because it's definitely not horror. It's not one of those things where, it gets like really scary or creepy or stuff like that. It's one of those things, again, where it's more psychological, and you kind of try to understand, what James McAvoy character is doing, what character and what person is going to, come out of him next. And it's one of those things where it's like, by either his, his the way his body moves, his facial reactions, you'll know, who he's going to be, and it's just absolutely amazing. Again, why was James McAvoy not nominated for Actor of the Year for that year? Damn it! Why not? I'm sorry, I'm a little bitter about that. I know that was the first time we saw the Oscars, but that was one thing I was very bitter about. But that being said, Glass is definitely one of those movies that is on my list of just watching. Honestly, I might even just watch it the night that it gets released. I am that amped up for it. It looks really good. I will definitely be watching Unbreakable, hopefully sometime next week. I know I'm still working on a few things with my apartment and getting everything moved out, but it's definitely on my list right now to actually do that because, honestly, I like Bruce Willis. I love Samuel L. Jackson. Just putting those two together, and now you have, you mentioned yin and yang there. You have these two colliding, but now you have a third element, we'll call it maybe Poe at this point, just put into that deal, and you have something that is definitely going to be probably a once-in-a-lifetime deal because these three actors are definitely well-known, and they do absolutely phenomenal. Now you got these, circumstances, you got to wonder, what's going to happen when all three of them are either in the same room together? What's going to happen when they're in the same environment together? What's going to happen when they're in the same movie together? Like I said, we're going to find out January 18th of next year. It's going to be absolutely can't miss. All right, so let's move on to something that's actually going to be coming out this year around Christmas time. And honestly, before I get too further into this, for the person that created the mock poster of this movie, basically they just had, Finding Nemo poster in there where, all the fish are just basically going towards Nemo and Dory and Marlin, but they just replaced them with Jason Momoa. I thought it was stupid, but then I look at the trailer and I'm like, they literally knew what was going to happen. I take back my comment of it being stupid. This is literally exactly what this is going to be. We're, of course, talking about Aquaman, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you saw him in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and we talked about him very highly in the Justice League review that we did last year. And Jason Momoa, he did an amazing job as Aquaman. And now he's getting his own movie. God help us, it's going to look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I praised him as highly. I personally was telling you I wasn't for sure what Aquaman we were getting out of him. I didn't realize, right. Yeah, I didn't realize like kind of what we were going for. I was like, okay, is he the king of Atlantis? Is he not? What is going on? I did not like Amber Heard. I don't necessarily like her as an actress in general. So I was like, oh, damn, she's supposed to be Mira, like one of the best females of DC. One of, I said. I'm like, dang, I hate her.
Dang, I hate her.
Well, yeah, she leaves a bad taste in your mouth, Amber Heard, usually. But yeah, I think this trailer looked good, though. It looked entertaining. It looks like it's going to explain everything that I was questioning about Aquaman. I don't know, and this would be kind of a good question for the Shazam movie, too. We don't really know how they're going to be connected with this past Justice League movie. Is it going to be before it? Is it after? Is it during? Like, I would guess Aquaman, and I would hope Aquaman is after, because that would really mess us up if they, like, put it before and be like, oh, by the way, for the Justice League movie, this happened. Because they're not going to do that, I hope. I don't know. DC sometimes makes some weird choices. But, yeah, I'm hoping it's right after, and the questions that I had and the problems I had with Aquaman, I think are going to be revisited here, and they're going to answer these questions. So I'm thinking I'm going to like it. I don't think it's going to be an epic proportion movie. It looks like another kind of funny one to me.
I don't know about that, because there's some parts where I understand, your concern about it being funny, but I think it might actually do a pretty good job of explaining a little bit as to, who Aquaman is, kind of his upbringings, or at least giving him a little bit more of a backstory. And honest to God, still my favorite scene from that entire deal is just little Aquaman just standing in front of the aquarium glass, and there's all these fish and there's shark just like standing right behind him, almost like backup. It's almost like, the fish mafia. It's literally one of those things where it's like, it's crazy, it's kind of funny, but at the same time it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a different Aquaman than what I'm used to seeing, because I think I remember kind of like the cheesier kind of Aquaman when they had him in the cartoons. So at least they're giving him a bit more of a serious side, which I can respect. I don't know. I think it's just going to be one of those things that I think it's definitely going to be one of those movies that people are going to enjoy. Maybe it is going to be like the same situation as Shazam, where it's like, it's not going to be like high up there, but it's still going to be one of those movies where it's like, Jason Momoa, he still does a good Aquaman. It's still a good movie. It's not one of those things that we're just going to keep trashing on. It's definitely going to be one of those movies that a lot of people are going to say, okay, well, we don't have to worry about them, screwing it up like they did with, Batman vs. Superman. I'm sorry, I will never let that go, because God help me. I'm also looking at the list of people that are going to be that are already cast in this. I mean, you already mentioned, Amber Heard's going to be in this. William Dafoe is going to be involved in this, which I absolutely love. It's because, of course, a lot of people remember William Dafoe as the Green Goblin. Well, for most people, remember him as that. I honestly am looking forward to seeing him. Patrick Wilson is going to be involved in this movie. Absolutely love it. Also, Nicole Kidman is going to be involved in this movie, and we haven't really seen Nicole Kidman in a DC movie since, I think, Batman Forever, if I'm not mistaken. There might have been another one that she was a part of, but I think that's the last time I remember her being a part of a DC movie, and God help us, she definitely knew how to, lay it out for Batman. I just remember her scenes as, wow, she really is direct. And also, I guess it really worked for her and Val Kilmer, because it was one of those chemistries where it's like, well, can't really see too much of it, but it worked for the movie. And, of course, everybody remembers Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Why can't we still have that? Please, for the love of God, if you're going to bring back the Riddler, it's got to be Jim Carrey. That's just my opinion. But back to Aquaman, I mean, they are also bringing in, Black Manta, who I am hoping that it's not one of those things where it's like, hey, they're doing a single movie. Well, we got this big villain coming in. Oh, it's going to die. It's like, no, don't kill him off.
Yeah, let
him continue to be one of those villains that people are kind of in the back of their mind, like, oh man, we still got Black Manta. Oh man, we got Joker. Oh man, we got Suicide Squad. We got this. You got all these villains back here that people are definitely going to be looking forward to and thinking, well, who's going to be involved in this upcoming movie? Who's going to be involved in the next Batman? Who's going to be involved in the next Aquaman? Who's going to be involved in stuff like that? So. Yeah. And I will also say the Black Manta in the trailer looked pretty epic. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on. I think they're going to bring up some good themes, and I didn't know all the stars that were casted, but it's pretty star-studded, which is pretty awesome. I'm happy for that. Like all of those people, and I've never heard of Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is Black Manta, and I looked him up, and I'm like, yep, nope, never seen any of this movie. I
at least know one movie he was in, and it was The Greatest Showman. So for me, it's like
he was that guy.
Yeah, he was W.D. Wheeler.
He was what's her face's brother, right?
I think so. I need to look this up now because I'm curious.
Becky's equal.
Now I'm curious. I have to know exactly his.
Oh no, that's
back
great.
in Anne's brother. Yep, he was. Damn. All right.
Okay. I didn't recognize his face on here because he has a huge beard.
Well, that's what happens when you grow facial hair. You look like a different person. So literally, it's good to know that after the Greatest Showman, he hasn't fallen into hard times. Oh, he's gonna be the next Black Manta, you say? Yeah, he's totally living the American dream right now. He's totally living it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited because Black Manta is the number one villain for Aquaman. You gotta have Black Manta if you have Aquaman. So, and I mean, not a spoiler alert in any way, but they're racking up the villains here. They're giving us what we want. I want Black Adam. I want Black Manta. I hope that there's another Cheetah. I think we're getting Cheetah in Wonder Woman. We're getting all of these villains that are prominent but not OP. Like, they're not overpowered in any way. But they're prominent and people know them. Because we're going to have the Injustice League in the next movie. We've already heard this. Lex Luthor decided he wants to gather the villains. So they're going to be introducing us to a bunch of villains that we know, we love, and we're going to see again. So do expect all of these villains to survive in one way or the other. And, ending scene, we probably will see them somehow join with Lex Luthor. So.
When you hear a villain's name, you usually either get like goosebumps or you usually get some kind of deal where it's like, oh man, excited to see this. Never thought I'd see the day where I would hear the name of Lex Luthor and literally I just want to vomit because of the fact I have to remember, great, give me another excuse to see Jesse Eisenberg as a villain and not really a good villain at that. I'm sorry, but for those that are big fans of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, what is wrong with you? I'm sorry, I don't get it. I would have much rather had somebody else play that role. I thought Patrick Stewart maybe would have been a better one, but obviously he was more in cahoots with Marvel. I can understand that. But somebody else, because Jesse Eisenberg, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, no. And then even after the movie, I'm like, I need to bleach my brain because this was not at all what I had envisioned for Lex Luthor. God help me, just no. And of course, I see him at the end credits scene of Justice League, and I'm just like, oh, great. Just, oh man, I feel like I shouldn't even bring my friends to see the movie when this happens because it just, Honestly, right now, I don't know what's worse: Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor or Jared Leto as Joker. I'm sorry, the Joker doesn't have grills. Just no, and he's not that romantically linked with Harley Quinn. No, why? I don't even fully care for DC, but at the same time, it's like, don't make these mistakes. Just no.
Yeah, I totally agree with Lex Luthor. That is a scorned mistake that is something that they can't come back from, because they've already decided. And I don't know who dropped the ball on that, but I don't know. Everything I read, everything I've seen about Lex Luthor is not a psychotic, wimpy character. He is a strong mogul. Somebody that people look up to, and people are like, oh, I see his point. Oh, yeah, he's right. Superman isn't the best for us. Like, he's somebody that people can get behind, and that's why he is such a threat. And I think for some reason, I'm going to bring up the yin yang since we've been talking about it. I think they tried to make him like the exact opposite of Superman, like a wimpy, crazy, rich, like character that is like super, one way, while Superman is supposed to be the whole other way. And that's not how I always felt Lex was. I felt like in a certain circumstance, and how Lex feels in certain circumstances, he's not the bad guy. He just has a different perspective. But in everything I've seen with Jesse Eisenberg, I'm always like, why is he so crazy? Like, what is going on? Like, the ticking or whatever he was doing, like, at the end, I'm like, he's not the Joker, right? Did we get tricked? Is he the Joker? Is he psychotic? Sociopath? Like, he definitely has, obviously, he's a narcissistic, he probably is a sociopath, though, but not as insane.
Right. I need to move on from this, because the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more it just feels like I'm literally gonna feel like one of the Avengers in Infinity War. I'm just gonna disintegrate away and just no more. All right, so this last trailer definitely was a bit of an eye-opener, especially when there's a bit of an iconic line involved in there, because this is actually going to be a television series. This is not going to be a movie, which also kind of raised an eyebrow, like, okay, how are they going to handle this as a movie, as a TV series? I would have figured this would have been a movie to kind of build up into maybe a future, what do you want to call it? Maybe like, a future crossover between them. But nope, they're doing it as a TV series. But then again, I guess that's how some of the DC guys are kind of prospering. I mean, Flash is doing good on TV. Green Arrow's doing good on TV. And now we got DC Titans. So basically, it's a live-action version of, Teen Titans. They had Robin. They showed a little bit of Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire. Well, no, there's Starfire. There we go. Didn't really see any Cyborg, but then again, I think that's going to be tough because of how much of a prominent role he's playing in the Justice League. But maybe he'll show up in a later episode. But the one thing that has been kind of rattling my head is the line where basically you hear somebody say, like, "Where's Batman?" And you hear Robin just say, "Fuck Batman." I'm like, wait, what? Okay, wow, this is different. This is not the DC I was expecting. This got dark really fast. I don't know. What were your thoughts on this DC Titans trailer?
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it pops up right away when you watch it. I was kind of trying to rewatch it just real quick because I watched some of it, but I didn't know if it was like real. Because I think, like how you said, like, comes up like TVMA, mature. And you're like, oh, okay, oh, it's a mature audience for the Teen Titans. And then, yeah, you get to, you see it, and it's really dark, and it, yeah, like you said, like, fuck Batman, like, they're, DC's going darker than dark, man. I'm excited. I would like to see this side of the Teen Titans because of Teen Titans Go is such an opposite. Teen Titans Go is a really goofy animated movie that's coming out on Friday. And I think seeing the Teen Titans and who they really are, which isn't very goofy and funny all the time. Like, they're relatively kids, or teens, sorry. But they still all have pretty messed up backgrounds. Like, literally every single one of them have some sort of parental issue, identity issues. So if you imagine the teen angst that's going to be in this, I mean, it's going to be high. I don't know. What do you think? I only saw like Robin and Raven in mine. I didn't get to see everybody.
Like I said, it was one of those things where I saw a bit of I think I saw a little bit of what Beast Boy was kind of going to be, and I think I saw a bit of Starfire. It wasn't one of those things where I looked at it and thought, this is going to suck. It's just one of those things that I looked at and I thought, this could be interesting to see because, like you said, Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, they're more of, comic relief. They're more lighthearted. They're more just kind of kind of sort of bright-spirited. They do try to add a little bit of darkness to it, but at the same time, they kind of are just oh yeah, we're the Teen Titans. We're, teenagers, and we like to have fun and blah, 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 blah. And especially, Teen Titans Go to the movies, which, of course, like you said, comes out this Friday. Cheap plug. It's just one of those things where it definitely seems different. And I can respect them trying to go down a different route. I'm just concerned that there is probably going to be a little bit of a clash deal. Almost like, do you prefer werewolves or do you prefer vampires? Do you prefer Marvel or do you prefer DC? Do you prefer Teen Titans Go or do you prefer DC Titans? I think that's going to bring up a little bit of a conflict there. And sometimes that's good, but I think when you're doing it amongst yourself, maybe that's not the best idea. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where they're trying to create competition within themselves. I just don't know if it's a good idea. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's going to be one of those very successful TV series and it'll just blow up in my face. But I just see that happening. Just it being one of those things where there's going to be a little bit of a inner war between, fans of the lighthearted, happy-go-lucky Teen Titans against the DC Titans that are more darker, more edgy, and more adult content related.
Yeah, I mean, I do personally like when they do stuff like this. By the way, I just saw Ryan Potter's Beast Boy. He's such a little cutie. And he's a martial artist, so that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I see what you're saying. There's going to be people who don't understand that there are different origin stories and there are different series and characters can be portrayed differently. Like how we get mad about Lex Luthor, but characters can be portrayed differently. I think, though, underlying qualities have to stay. That's why we get so upset about the Lex Luthor thing. These characters are underlining qualities better still be there. That's why when you hear Robin say, fuck Batman, you're like, what? But, let me go back to him. I want to see who he is. He's Dick Grayson. So, him and Batman don't always get along. I mean, he leaves Batman. He leaves Batman for...
Yeah, doesn't he leave
Yeah,
Batman for... I was about to say, doesn't he leave Batman for like a certain, like for some kind of reason? I forgot. What was the story behind it?
I don't remember the exact moment and situation that he leaves Batman in, but it is a controversy of should I have killed someone, should I have not, and he turns into Nightwing, or in this case, he's just going to leave Batman as Robin still, and go off and start his own team or start something else. But Dick Grayson was part of the Flying Graysons. I thought that was going to be a movie too, coming out eventually, but the Flying Graysons is the acrobatic group, the circus group, that has basically his whole family end up dying, and he's an acrobatist and scorned, doesn't have his parents, doesn't have a family, doesn't have anything, and so he gets picked up by Batman, who then he portrays as a father figure, and his father figure disappoints him, and so he leaves. So having this dark side of him being like, yeah, no, me and Batman don't get along, is so true. Like, they did not get along for a long period of time. He turned into Nightwing, and they would end up almost fighting each other, because he's like, no, this is how I want this to go down, and Batman's like, this is how we do things. But yeah, like, as we know, Raven's dad, Trigon, is a demon. Demon Lord. Coriander, aka Starfire, gets booted out of her planet from her father and basically tries to get murdered, or she doesn't try, but is getting murdered or is getting pursued by her father's guards. And then Beast Boy, I don't think really ever had a family. Or in some instances he does, and they all die too. So it's dark.
Yeah. Bottom line, it's dark, but
right.
It'll just be kind of interesting to see where they go with this. But
yeah. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't get too attached to any of these characters. They did say, I don't know what platform it's coming out on, but they are dropping all 13 episodes, like, right away. I would think it's probably coming out on Hulu, but I'm not for sure. Because I think Hulu is more of the CW stuff, right? Because I know it's not Netflix.
Yeah, well, who knows? But
yeah.
we'll definitely keep an eye out, and we'll definitely let people know that, hey, this is when this is coming out, and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But it's funny that we definitely talk a little bit about Teen Titans, and we definitely do the cheap plug for Teen Titans Go to the Movies this Friday, because you actually were doing a kind of Teen Titan-related event recently. Tell us a little bit about that. What went down with that? I always saw like a little bits and pieces of the video, and I was actually kind of intrigued as to what this was all about and what was going on with it. So, can you I think we may have just... All right, there we go.
Not doing good today.
It's Skype. What do we expect at this point? And yes, I am basically thrashing Skype. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it makes me just want to scream. But yeah, this past weekend, you did something kind of Teen Titan related. Can you kind of give us a little more in depth of what went down?
Yeah, basically the International School of Comics was approached by Warner Brothers to host an event, a kids event for Teen Titans Go to the Movies that is coming out July 27th. It's rated PG. It's very kid-friendly, and it also has some pretty funny side jokes for the parents if you have to be dragged along. I personally never watched Teen Titans Go. I really enjoyed Teen Titans, and they basically have the exact same characters, but instead of making it like a comic book show, it turned into like a goofy, like Cartoon Network, like goofy show. I don't know. It's maybe more for like 10 and under. I don't know. I'm personally not attracted to the animation style, and I'm not attracted to the fart jokes and the just comedic value. I enjoyed the characters, who they are, and they kind of lose that in this. But it's interesting. Teen Titans Go to the Movie is like Robin wanting his own film, and he's like, "Oh, Batman's finally letting me get my own film," and sure enough, no. And like they make Green Lantern jokes, they make Deadpool jokes. Like it looks like it's going to be pretty humorous. So if people want to go and see that, they definitely can. But yeah, we had like 20 kids learn how to draw the Teen Titans, and it was a great event. You can check it out on Facebook on either Tori Clark /VictoriBelle or on the International School of Comics Facebook.
Yeah, by all means, go check them out and also give them a like, because these guys are really good and they definitely know how to keep everybody entertained, and they definitely know how to keep everything very creative and very eventful. So definitely go check that stuff out. All right, so with that being said, I think that we are good. We talked quite a bit about San Diego Comic-Con. We talked about a lot of the trailers that were coming out. Yeah, and honestly, guys, it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Game Changer. For VictoriBelle, I've been Nate the Effing Great. Be sure to tune in next week, you guys, because it's going to be the start of GC Summer Bash, and it's going to be something that you definitely cannot miss. We got interviews, we got a lot of crazy stuff that's going on. I already made a couple of announcements on my personal page about what's going on, so by all means, go check out VictoriBelle's Facebook fan page and give her a like. Be sure to give us a like on our fan page. Follow me on Twitter, and of course, follow us here on Spreaker.com. Final thoughts, VictoriBelle.
I thought, as usual, SGCC gave us some awesome stuff to get excited for. So I love it. Always love when all these trailers drop at once and I have to overshare on Facebook.
Yeah. Come on, San Diego. Give us a little something. Nope, they gave us a lot. Stop making me more and more excited for years to come. So, that being said, for VictoriBelle, I've been Nate the Effing Great, and we will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What you do to me when you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright.